Hi, this is Zeke, Tumblr user ZekeBeast.
And Nacho, Tumblr user NachoLuckus.
And this is Zeke and Nacho's Motor City Rant Hour!
We are back from the dead!
Yes, life got in the way, so,
For both of us.
yeah, big problems. Anyway, enough about boring old us. We've decided to change the format of the cast to what they were originally, which was more of a general discussion between two people rather than a play-by-play of the past episodes.
Because everybody knows what happens in the episode.
Yeah.
Right? We don't need to rehash it.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to rant about nothing in particular.
Indeed.
Honestly.
But we will still be, using People of Motor City's tidbits, which he gives us, if he continues to give them to us.
Yes.
We've been gone for a while. 3 weeks.
3 weeks? Ah, that is a long time.
Yeah. So, in today's cast, we're going to discuss characterization, because this is one of our favorite topics. And we've done one on characterization before, but I think we're going to do it again.
That was way at the beginning of Motor City. We had no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and now we've got another, 8, 9 episodes.
We've got a lot more to talk about.
Yes. Yes, we do.
I mean, really, the only characters we really knew anything about at that time were Mike, and we knew a little bit about Chuck, and we knew about Texas. That was about it.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have so much more insight on all the characters, and there's just so much we can talk about.
So much.
Let's start. Can we start with Kane, actually? Because
Yes.
I had kind of a revelation after the last episode.
Oh, boy.
Not really a huge snazzy thing, but just kind of.
Let's make this a cast about the characterization of villains.
All right, yeah. Let's talk about the villains. Motor City has some great villains.
Oh boy,
man.
yes.
God, great villains. Just
So,
really villains.
our main
So
big bad,
Kane.
Kane.
Big bad, Kane. Who's afraid of the big bad Kane? Kane is a really good villain. He, as far as the main antagonist goes, he is really good. He's not just your typical Saturday morning cartoon villain who wants to take over the world or does things for the sake of doing bad things.
Yeah, he's not a mustache twirler.
Yeah, he's got his own motivation. He's got his own goals, and I don't really know where I'm going with this.
But basically, Kane is like a human being. He's not just the bad guy.
And his motivation, something I realized after the last episode, is that a lot of what he does is motivated by fear. He is paranoid. He is absolutely paranoid.
Oh god, yeah.
He is just so scarred by Mike's betrayal. He keeps insanely close watch on the people of Deluxe. He goes crazy whenever he notices that more have gone missing. You know, that more have defected because they're traitors. And he goes to such lengths. He outfits the entire city. The entire city. That is several thousand people. He puts them in these suits that he can control just for the sake of being able to bring them back if they try to.
Yep.
That's all he was trying to do. Getting the burners was a bonus. He was just trying to keep them in the city, and he went to such lengths to do that because he is so paranoid.
He just wants all the people in his hands.
One of the most revealing lines. One of the most revealing lines we've had about his character to date was in that episode.
Yeah.
And the scientist, says, "Doesn't this seem like a little much?" And he turns to him and he goes, "A trickle can become a downpour."
Yes.
A trickle can become a downpour. That is Kane's philosophy right there. A little can become a lot. A few defectors now could mean hundreds later.
Yep.
A few rebels now could mean an entire army against him later. And that's why he's trying so hard to destroy Motor City. That's why he's trying so hard to destroy the burners. It's not because he wants the land. It's not because he wants the people. It's not because he wants to. It's not even really because he wants to punish the burners. He just wants to squash the rebellion.
He wants control. He wants
control.
He has control, but he's so
control.
paranoid of losing this control.
Exactly.
Which is the really good thing, because if you read about, like, dictators and things like that, they tend to be really paranoid about keeping their empire. It's not just getting there. Getting there is relatively easy. It's staying in power that really takes effort.
The best part, I think, about Kane is that while he is this,
Melomaniac.
Yes. But while he is this crazy, evil control freak, at the same time, he is not at his heart a cruel person, at least to the people he considers close. And the only person we've seen that he really considers close is really Julie. And what I love is that from what we've seen, I wouldn't say he's like the best dad ever, but he's not a bad father. He's not mean to her. He doesn't try to stifle her. He doesn't try to force force her. Well, he does kind of push her into things she doesn't really want to do, but he doesn't sit on her. You know, he's not a horrible, cruel, abusive dad. He's not
outright abusive.
He's not Slade. You know, he's
just a big jerk sometimes.
He's a big jerk, and he's paranoid, and he's a control freak, and he's not the nicest guy.
And he probably shouldn't be the guy who you give, like, ultimate power over an entire micronation.
But he's still human, and he's not a soulless, heartless monster. He's a bit of a psychopath.
Yeah.
But it's not a soulless monster.
Yeah, I mean, you could, at a stretch, sympathize with him, to an extent. I mean, we haven't really gotten any material that portrays Kane as sympathetic in canon.
We don't really know what his story is.
From the perspective of others.
Sure. We don't know what started this whole rise to power. What started his idea, why he created Deluxe.
Yeah.
We have some ideas, but we don't know for sure what his motivation was in the beginning. And hopefully we'll get some of that in later episodes.
I really hope so. I really hope that the rest of the season will address Kane's rise to power or something, because we've been flirting around the edges of it for a while. I mean, with Mike's backstory in Vendetta and with the backstory in Ride of the Fantasy Barons from Jacob's perspective, and the whole... Actually, we've been skirting around that story quite a lot, so I think that might be building up to be our central storyline.
It's definitely implying something. I'm thinking towards the end of the season, we're probably going to get some big stuff going down.
I hope so.
With Kane. And while we're on the subject of Kane, let's just talk about Thule for a little bit, because here we have Thule. I love Thule, and that's a bit of an unpopular opinion from what I've seen. A lot of people don't really, seem to like Thule, which I think is really
sad. Embarrassing.
I love him. He's an idiot. That's why I love him. But he's, I know he's definitely not the kind of character that everyone will love, but he's so simple compared to the rest of the characters. Most of the rest of the characters are just these amazingly fleshed out, three-dimensional, deep characters, and here's Thule, who just watches cartoons in his free time and likes and is goofy and makes people in mind control suits dance and and goes down into zombified Motor City because he thinks there's going to be a party. He's just a giant overgrown kid, and he's definitely comic relief.
Yes.
But at the same time, he is so devoted to Kane, and that is actually the sole reason why Kane keeps him around. And we saw, I really think that the reason that Kane keeps him is that even though he's an idiot, he's so loyal. Kane actually values loyalty over intelligence.
Yes.
Thule is an idiot. Thule has messed up so many times. Thule has messed up even more than Kane knows, because he slips stuff to Julie without even realizing it, and Julie's a burner. Thule is indirectly responsible for
probably most of the mess ups
in the first episode. He's messed up so many times, and yet Kane still keeps him around because he is loyal and because he will never abandon Kane.
And he would never question Kane.
He would never question him. He would never join the burners. He would never leave Deluxe of his own volition.
Yes.
He is so stupidly loyal.
He's
such a follower.
He's a guard dog. He's basically this big dumb dog that Kane keeps around to scare people.
Yes.
That's all he does. He's just the muscle.
And he is good at being muscle.
Yes.
You can't deny that.
I love how many times...
Mike says in Ride the Lightning, he's certainly the strongest of the bunch, just not the smartest.
Yeah, I love how many times Thule has referred to beating people up, but we never actually see him land a punch on anyone.
Because it's Disney!
Because it's Disney, I mean. But I love that they get away with mentioning violence and talking about these things, and it just sort of slips casually by.
So casually subversive.
Yes.
Alright, let's see.
On the note of casual subversion, it's actually kind of a good thing that our last cast got eaten, because we talked quite a bit about the political themes in Motor City, and then we thought, uh-oh, we might get in trouble if we actually publish this. So, we've got your back there. Anyway, more villains.
Anyway, should we move on to
the Duke?
If we're going in order of appearance, I guess we should move on to the Duke.
Yes.
Alright.
Canon, he appears before Kaya. Duke of Detroit is actually the 4th episode, not the 5th episode, despite airing.
Because Disney messed up like that. And he's actually really the most important villain after Kane. He's, the main villain after Kane, really. He serves as kind of a secondary antagonist, and he is interesting in that he changes the focus of Motor City a little bit. If it were just Kane, or even just Kane and Kaya, it would be the burners against these extremists. It would be the burners against the man.
Yes.
You add Duke in, and they're fighting a little bit against themselves, because the Duke is another motor citizen. The Duke is another gang leader. The Duke operates outside of the law, but he's not really a bad person. He's just kind of a chaotic person.
Yes.
He likes trouble, but
Yeah.
he's
If we're going by D&D alignments, which are always a good way to align characters, I'd say Duke would be chaotic neutral on a good day.
Chaotic evil on a bad day.
Yeah. Kane is lawful evil.
Lawful evil. Kaya and the Terrors, would they be chaotic good?
I think.
Because they have good intentions, they just have really bad ways of going about those intentions.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know, we'll discuss...
Mike and the Burners are very much lawful.
Which is funny because they're these outlaw-styled characters, but they really uphold the law. But they're really good kids!
Alright, anyway, back to Duke. Let's
the
talk
Duke!
About,
oh, yeah.
Talk about Snyder.
D. Snyder. Oh, we should probably put in our tidbit from last week.
Yes.
I'm trying to find it right now. Anyway, here's this week's tidbit from, I don't know how many weeks ago.
From the depth of Zeke's Xbox.
Actually, it's only about 2 pages in. Anyway, this week's tidbit. As you may have learned from the Anime Expo panel, the Duke of Detroit is strongly inspired by the Duke of New York from the movie Escape from New York by John Carpenter. In Motor City, the Duke of Detroit originally was much more similar to his NY counterpart. You can get a sense for how different the character was going to be by the voice actors originally considered for the part. Nathan Fillion, Firefly, Dr. Horrible, Sing-Along Blog, and Steve Blunt, Spike Spiegel, Mugen, every cool voice in anime ever. These were both names being thrown around in the early stages of the show. Disney was the one to suggest D. Snyder due to the fact that he is a Detroit native. To make a long story short, the character of the Duke of Detroit evolved into being the real-life D. Snyder. He has said on multiple occasions that he isn't really acting when he voices the Duke, he's pretty much just being himself. Yes, the Duke! He's such a character! He's so larger than life.
Oh, he's so flashy and flamboyant.
It's so great, I mean...
Not campy, which is good. You know, I like that he's so flashy and flamboyant and over the top and obnoxious, but not, not really campy and annoying, and, he's just, he's flashy in a big band, a big rock and roll spectacle way.
The Duke is D. Snyder's stage personality, basically. And I love how he, sings some of his things. The Duke of Detroit Presents, that was such a brilliant Duke episode, and we really get to see how he's an antagonist, not so much a villain. He's just a pain in the ass for the Burners.
And how he really does have so much weight over the city. He has a huge presence in Motor City, and, he has enough command and enough control to have his own television station and be able to run his own reality TV show.
Yeah.
And it's one that everyone in Motor City could watch.
Even the grannies.
Yes, even
Sue Ellen, local granny, just wants to see someone blown up. Yes. I love those background characters in that entire show. That episode was just so funny.
It's just a really good. Motor City is just such a great show, and how there's the really hardcore, gritty, actiony episodes, and then there's the really funny, silly episode where we get to see Rayon cheering Mike on, and old ladies talking about people getting blown up. Is my ship showing? Sorry.
It's okay.
And
I loved how Rayon was mixing sport metaphors there.
Yeah.
Going all the way.
Yeah,
that's
like,
baseball.
You have no idea about any kind of sports at all.
It was like a cross between baseball and basketball. Who knows? Maybe in the...
And a little bit of football, too.
Yeah.
Football.
Maybe they've all just morphed into one sport.
Or maybe
in the
Rayon
future.
has no idea about sports.
Could be.
But anyway, we're not talking about Rayon. We should dedicate an episode to minor characters.
Yes, we should.
So I'm going to talk...
Anyway. The Duke and his lackeys. I love how he got...
his lackeys. I mean,
number 2, aka Babs, to the fandom.
Yes, Babs is a fandom name, but number 2 is a canon name, but Babs has become so widely used that most people know her as
Babs instead of number 2.
And a Titmouse staff member even accidentally or almost named a character file Babs at one point.
Yep.
Power to the fandom.
We're insidious.
Anyway, we're getting off topic.
We really are.
Let's just talk about the Duke's fabulous henchmen and their suits and sunglasses
and hats.
And hat. Who do you think lives there? Someone who likes hats.
Indeed.
But
hats and tracksuits.
Can we just mention the absolute hilarity of that one scene?
Yes.
Detroit Presents when the limo rolls up, the window comes down, the Duke's One of the Duke's lackeys is sitting there with the speaker and the flashcards.
The flashcards. I love how she makes them move around to, like,
great.
emote. It's so...
It's great. It reminded me of the one scene in Flushed Away where they have the cell phone in the mine.
Oh, God.
I just couldn't stop laughing at that scene. It was so brilliant. And then Cyborg Dan comes out in the middle of it. And
oh, God, Cyborg Dan. Dan, my man.
villain. Can we talk about him?
Yes. Cyborg Dan, possibly the most violent character in Motor City. At
I
least
have been reduced to a hot mess.
Chilton will pay. This is your fault, Mike Chilton.
He's just such a ridiculously silly minor one-off villain character. At least well, I don't know. It seems like Motor City doesn't believe in one-off characters. We may see him again. So.
Yep, I've seen like a few of the people, like just the background Motor Citizens, show up in several places. I know there's one screaming guy in episode 1 who shows up in Off the Rack.
Yes.
The one screaming guy with the weird cheekbones going, ah! He was a Motor Citizen, but for some reason he's in Deluxe.
Well, they do use the Faceinator.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was...
a lot of the faces, so... And before we move on, can we just discuss the Duke and his ridiculous limo, his ridiculous tank shoots limos as ammunition?
Yes, we
Can
can.
we talk about? Can we...
There's no kill, like overkill. Okay, look, Duke logic. I think this came out, like, just after the episode aired, but basically, he gets mad at the burners for trashing his cars, and then he shoots at them with cars.
I mean, obviously, but now I'm just thinking he keeps a whole collection of limos for the sole purpose of using them as ammunition. He has his prize cars, and then he has his ammo cars.
Yeah,
And he keeps them separate.
and apparently there are people in the cars as he launches them.
Wait, what? Oh,
Yes!
yeah, well,
They
there
climbed
were
out of the
in first
doors.
episode. Yeah, there were in the first episode, but I think that was more because he needed them to corner the burners.
But still, you're still shooting people in limousines out of a tank.
They're so unruffled when they get out, too. There's not a hair out
Completely
of place.
unflappable. You know, actually, one of those Duke henchmen in Blonde Thunder, if anybody knows about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series,
Oh,
that one guy remind me of the announcer, like, attention duelists, my hair. He's like, Duke, he's using a remote control. It just sounded exactly the same, and the fact that the hats look like that stupid anime hair. Originally, when I saw the concept art, I was like, whoa, those are some big pompadours. But it turns out they're just hats.
Alright,
Okay, we should probably move
I
on.
think we should leave talking about the other games to the minor character cast.
Yeah.
Because they really aren't major. And I think we should also leave Red the minor character cast.
Yeah, because he's...
Because he's only appeared in one episode so far.
Yep.
So let's talk about the
Ah.
characters!
Ah, the Terras. Sorry, you just kind of blacked out for a bit.
I said I know Zeke's been waiting for this.
Ah, yes. I have loved the Terras since, like, the promo showed up for Texasified.
And that was way back in the age of the dinosaurs. That was
The age of the
second or
Texasaurus Rex.
Oh, but the Terras are just so great. And can we just reflect on the fact that we have a Disney animated TV show, and a TV show and airing on a Disney-owned cable channel with a group of terrorists as one of the main or minor-ish, as one of the antagonists. We have a group of terrorists. That is so subversive. It's just...
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at puns.
They're literally eco-terrorists. Literally.
Yes, they literally are.
They fight with plants.
Really destructive, crazy, human-eating plants, kind of.
Human and car eating.
Yes.
The plants just consume everything.
The plants are taking over! Wah!
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And I love how Kaya and the Terras actually have really good motives, and the Burners initially agree with them and their fight.
Oh,
And
the burners are initially
Like,
so happy to have found someone else who's fighting Kane. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes more sense now that we've seen more of the show. We really know they're pretty much the only ones in Motor City who are actively fighting against Kane.
pretty much.
So they find these Terras, they find these people who are also trying to fight against Kane, and it's so cool, it's so great. We have someone we can fight with, all right. And then the other shoe drops.
Or should we say Mike drops off a giant mushroom,
Yes.
nearly to his death. Because the Terras, while they have good, I guess, intentions, and they have every right to be angry at Kane, I mean, every freaking right, because he destroyed their home and he's turned them into, like, horrible, crippled monsters and things with 3 eyes and cut up lips and all sorts of weird symptoms that probably manifest themselves as, like, horrible disease and stuff. And the problem is that the Burners are too moderate, in a sense, to understand why they're so angry.
Oh,
the Terrors are really sympathetic to me, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Because...
But that's just it. Burners, while we know for a fact that at least 3/5 of the team are from Deluxe, and it's been implied that Chuck is as well, but, and we don't know about Texas, but while they
Texas
have
just
all
appeared.
been affected by Kane, they have not been personally victimized by him in the way that the Terras are, and none of them have the same hatred for Kane and for the people of Deluxe that the Terras do. The Terras are so angry at the people of Deluxe because they feel that the people of Deluxe are just as responsible for their misery as Kane himself is. And so they aren't fighting just against Kane, they're fighting against Deluxe.
Yes, exactly. And I mean...
They don't care if they hurt people while they're fighting against Kane, because in their eyes,
that's
all
the
just
point.
as guilty.
Yes.
They're all just guilty.
Yes, I mean, exactly. And this is an issue that's very close to my heart for reasons. And this is because I lived in the Middle East for 7 years. I lived in Dubai, and I have been very close to people who have suffered from the Iran-Iraq wars, who have suffered from the bombings in Iran and Afghanistan and Gaza. And there's this real rage and fury against their attackers that you can only really understand if you've met these people. And so the Terrors are, like, immensely sympathetic to me because they are so well written as a group of people who have been shat on by those above, to put it in layman's terms. To put it bluntly. I mean, their homes have been destroyed, their livelihoods have been destroyed, they've been forced to resort to using these horrible chemicals and weapons and things that this abscess from the higher-ups, that they've been forced to use that just to defend themselves. And they're just really sympathetic characters to me, I'm sorry.
And when they meet Texas, they've never really...
I mean, they're completely evil, but they've just...
But when they meet Texas, they're just so happy to have someone who can help them realize their goals.
Yes.
And they take it beyond what he's suggested just because they have the means to do it now.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that this is set up as a complex issue of morality in the show. Because really, from these 3 villains who have all these different motivations, I mean, there's Kane, who just wants control of everything, and that he's the main villain. And there's the Duke, who's kind of just
there to cause trouble. He just wants to have fun.
He's a wild card. And then there's the Terrors, who are fighting the same enemy as the Burners, but not the same fight. That was such a good line, Mike. Right. Such a good line. I love the writing on the show. God damn.
Shout out to all the writers at Titmouse, because you guys are really, really, really good at your job. Just
keep rocking.
Keep rocking.
And the thing is, this morality conflict is not stated. It's just there. It's not overhyped.
It's not hyped. It's not preached. It's not glorified. It's not
pointed out. Yes.
It's not pointed out. It's just there. It's
there for you to see as a viewer.
It's there for you to see. It's there for you to interpret. It's there for you to rant about in funny little podcasts. It's just there. And
this, I think, is again one of the wonderful things about Motor City, is that it doesn't talk down to its audience.
God, yes.
It doesn't talk down to its audience, and it's just perfect like that.
And at the same time, it doesn't make it too hard to... It's very clear. Everything in it is very clearly shown. Motor City is a master of the whole idea of show, don't tell.
Exactly, yes.
Just everything is so clearly shown to us that we really don't need all the extra exposition and extra dialogue and extra story tropes that so many other
shows depend on.
Rely on. Yes.
I mean, there's exposition, but it never drags on, and that's a wonderful thing.
Very concise, it's very clear, and
in some places it might be a little fast and it might feel a little rushed, but that's, I think, mostly due to the fact that it's a 20-minute episode and there's only so much you can put in there. So conflict
would benefit so well if every episode could be an hour long.
Maybe not an hour long, but like 30 minutes.
30
like
minutes,
10 minutes more would give them a lot of room to play around.
Well, I mean, if every episode of Motor City were designed to fit into a 1 hour block, then that would mean about a 44-minute show, and I think that would be more than enough. enough.
Yeah.
I hope we get at least one double episode at some point during the run of the show, because given more time to really tell the plot, to really tell the story, I think it could really shine.
Yeah, I mean, already in the first episode, we've had movie-level stakes in terms of plot and resolution. Conflict and resolution. It was really good. It's really good. I mean, it's a little fast sometimes, but, you know, it's still amazing.
We're about to do a project in my one class where we make a movie poster, and I asked my teacher if I could do it for Motor City, and she was like, but it's not a movie, is it? And I was like, but it feels like one.
To be honest, you could do that.
Yeah, I think I could very easily do a movie poster for Motor City.
Which episode? Just take your pick.
Yeah, just pick one.
Okay, I think that's about it for our time limit. We're creeping up into 40 minutes, so
Oh, good lord.
I'm gonna have fun editing this.
Yeah, you better get to it, Zeke.
Yep, okay, so this is Zeke signing out.
And Nacho signing out as well.
Tune in next time for Ziek and Nacho's Motor City Round Hour.
And we won't take as long to get it out next time.
Yeah, seriously.
Alright,
Okay.
thank you for listening.
Thank you. Live
Bye.
fast, live free. Bye.
Bye.